Hi guys, and welcome back to Tremor Trails. I hope everybody out there is doing well. If you're brand new here, my name is TJ. Welcome to the channel. It is finally that time of year. The leaves are starting to change colors. We have snow at higher elevations. We finally got our first freeze down here in Texas, which means it is finally fall and winter overlanding season. This is our most favorite time to get out on trails. Today I want to do a really fast video about Chinese diesel heaters. What's the deal with these things? Is it worth your money? Should you go with an American-made product? What size do you need? Do you need the 8 kilowatt? Do you need the 5 kilowatt? We're going to try and answer all of those questions in a really short video to try and get you up to speed on diesel heaters and why I personally think you need one in your tent. Let's go talk about it. All right, so if you're brand new to overlanding and off-roading and you're starting to get into the fall or winter camping season, inevitably you've heard about diesel heaters. Right here I have a HCALORY, an HCALORY, an HCALORY. It's this thing right here, and obviously it's made in China. When I was doing a bunch of research on diesel heaters, I tend to always want to buy quality. I'm just one of those guys, and I'll be honest with you, I love to buy American-made products. But the first major thing that I researched and learned about diesel heaters is there was a couple companies in the 1960s and 70s that came online and were the guys that created this. But after 15, 20 years, your patents go away. The American-made and the German company are still selling these things like they just invented them. And just like everything in the world, you got to budget what is worth your money and what isn't. The main deciding factor for going with a Chinese diesel heater, I can buy 6 of these compared to 1 of the American made. While I get that buying a German product or an American product is going to be more expensive because the craftsmanship and the quality is going to be better, I came to find out that their warranties are 1 year, 2 years at max. For this right here, a warranty is 1 year, 2 years at max. So you can go spend over $1,000 on a German or an American-made diesel heater, or you can go to the Jungle website and you can get one of these for 150 bucks, 200 bucks. If this thing takes a crud, I can simply buy another one, and I will buy 6 of these before I ever got to the American or the German-made one. So unfortunately, in this situation, money does talk. The reality is quite simple. The American and the German diesel heaters are made better. They use better components, they have better heating qualities, and they probably sip diesel a little bit better. If the point is that it breaks in 1 year, you're done. Not only that, but buying the display or something for one of those products is going to be just as much as buying a whole new one of these. You may get more legs out of the better crafted one for sure, but the point is that warranty is warranty, and if they're going to void the warranty after a year, kind of what's the point? I'm not one that loves to do a bunch of waste, but unfortunately I just got to be honest about this one, guys. It makes way more sense to go out and buy the cheaper Chinese diesel heater than it is to go with a higher brand. All right, with that being said, are all Chinese diesel heaters made the same? No, they're not. Different companies have flaws and different issues. And just like anything coming from over there, you are bound to have a lemon or two. So if you start reading reviews from Chinese diesel heaters, you're gonna see tons and tons of negative reviews about these things. It's kind of the luck of the draw. This one got shipped to me. I've used it multiple times. I haven't had an issue with it whatsoever. You may get one and it may be broken and you got to send it back. Obviously, that's the deal with doing business over there with China, quality control. But I do have to say that everybody that I know except one person is using a Chinese diesel heater compared to an American-made diesel heater. Now, all these things come in different shapes and sizes, and it's really what your needs are. You can get one that is just all the parts and the heater, and you install that permanently into your vehicle. Most of us overlanders, we go for something that's in a box. This one is simply put into a box, very simplistic design. Here's the heater right here. Here's your fuel filter. Your power comes in from this side. You have your exhaust fumes from this side. Your hot air comes boiling up through here. There are ones that are made to be tall and skinny. There are ones that are short and fat. It really just comes down to what you want to do. I wanted to go with the box because, in my opinion, this one takes up the least amount of space. One thing to remember with these diesel heaters is just because you're looking at the picture and going, oh, that's going to fit perfect into my vehicle, there's a whole bunch of crud that has to be attached to it in order for it to work. So remember that what you're looking at in the picture is not necessarily what you're going to end up with. Now, because of all the different shapes and sizes, they're going to have different spots to put their fuel. On this particular model, we have a fuel canister that is connected to the side, and this is permanently mounted. Other ones have it up top that you pour into. Some of them have them down on the bottom. The designs are kind of limitless when it comes to where you put your diesel fuel. I like this because I can read where I'm at. I always know what's going on. If there's something wrong with the tank, I can easily see it. Speaking of tanks, a really fast tip for you guys. What I found the best way to make sure that I'm getting all of my fuel intake is if you look right here, I have some nuts and bolts that I put at the bottom with the zip tie. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna let all of that weight go to the bottom. So this tube is always gonna be down at the bottom and it's not gonna float up and be stuck halfway sucking in air or something in the middle of the night. Now, one thing, when you're looking at pictures and everything with these diesel heaters, it's gonna look like, oh man, that's a super tight fit. I like the way it's gonna fit in the vehicle. One thing you have to remember is that there are appendages that are gonna be on this diesel heater that you don't really remove. For example, everyone is gonna have this little thing right here, which is your air filter. And this needs to be higher than the exhaust that's coming out so that it can circulate air properly. Another thing that everyone's gonna have is gonna be a muffler of some sort. And so something to really think about is, do you want one that's going to be coming from the bottom, or do you want one that's going to be coming from the side? For me, I wanted to go with the side. The side makes a lot more sense for our setup, because if you're doing one that exhausts from the bottom, you're going to have to twist this as much as you can, and it's always going to be maybe that far off the ground or whatever you're putting it on to be able to get your tube up to your rooftop tent. As far as the noise and all that, I hardly ever use this thing. As a matter of fact, I just let it exhaust out the side and call it a day. The noise to me is practically identical from this to the muffler. Sure, there's a little bit that this does, but not a whole lot. And really the sound of a diesel heater just sounds like air blowing through something. They are not loud at all. But that is one thing to consider, guys. If you want to exhaust down below, or if you want to exhaust out the side, where you're gonna put these attachments, these are things that are usually permanently mounted. So when you're looking at designs, make sure that you have one that's gonna be easy to assemble out on the trail, and it's not gonna be taking up tons of room when you're out and around there. All these come with brackets and mounting points, and you just kind of do your thing. All right, so one thing that every diesel heater is going to come with is one of these little contraptions right here, a dryer hose. These things are going to work okay if you're using a tent, because it's just going to pop in right there and it's going to be straight. But for all of us rooftop tent guys, you're going to have to go with something else. The only thing you need to purchase additionally is going to be one of these big old dryer vacuum hoses. I'll leave a link down below to this one. This one works great, but the deal is you need enough stretch and enough length to be able to get up to your rooftop tent when you're trying to keep warm. Now, as far as kilowatts go, I really think that it's kind of a moot point when it comes to these things, because we're trying to warm up a very small enclosure. This particular one is 8. Other ones are 5. Honestly, I have never turned this up above the second setting. There are 5 or 6 settings on this unit. I couldn't imagine turning this thing up to 5. We would just melt up there. Because we're heating such a small interior space, you really don't need to stress about if you need a 5 kilowatt or an 8 kilowatt. It really comes down to how you're going to power it. After an hour or so of this thing running, it's going to be toasty warm up in there and you're not going to have an issue. We have been in some cold nights with this thing, and like I said, I usually keep it at the lowest #1 setting. Honestly, get what you feel is going to be best for you and is going to be easy enough to power. Speaking of power, that's the main thing. All of these units tend to just come with a black and red wire exposed. You can either do a 12-volt plug-in, and you can put that into a power bank like a Blue Yeti or a Jackery, something like that. The way that I do mine is I have an auxiliary battery, so I just simply go to the side posts, and those are screwed down red and black, and so that's how my stuff gets powered. The draw on these things is not as much as you would think. Starting up the unit is going to draw your most power, and it's going to draw quite a bit of power. But after about 5 minutes, it's completely warm and fully charged, and then it's just sipping power through the night. I haven't officially checked it, but I think that if you were to put a heat blanket and this side by side and measured them after 8 hours, the voltage would probably be a little bit less on the diesel heater itself compared to the electric blanket. Just from what I know about power draw. I could be completely wrong, but my point about that is that they don't draw a huge ton of power, so you don't have to be stressed about that. It's just the startup. The way these things work is really simple. There's a glow plug inside 2 chambers, and what happens is that glow plug gets warmed up in heat. All of the diesel exhaust comes out of the unit, and that warm, dry air on the other side of that chamber gets fanned up to you to keep you warm and dry. When I first got a diesel heater and was looking at them, I was worried I was going to be smelling diesel all night long, and because of the dual chamber, that just doesn't exist. You can stick your nose straight up to that vent and smell it. It's not going to smell like diesel at all. I'll leave a link down below to the HCALORY and the tube if you're interested in this particular unit, or you can just go search and find what you want to find. Some of the newer units are doing Bluetooth now, which is actually pretty nice. And the only reason that I would say that is because if you're up in your tent and for some reason this fails, I've had this fail once or twice when I first got it because I was using it wrong. What I found out was that my electrical fuse was not strong enough, so when it was trying to do that initial startup, I would pop a fuse. It was throwing a code on this panel, but if you have the Bluetooth, you can actually see what the code is. So before you crawl out of the tent in the middle of the night freezing to death, you already know what you're gonna deal with instead of hunting and pecking around. So I do like that option as far as the Bluetooth, as well as you can set and adjust the temperature. For us though, you know, really, like I said, this has 5 or 6 settings on it. You pretty much forget about it. It's not like a thermostat at the house where you can dial in the perfect temperature. There may be some of them out there that are like that, but this particular one is not. What is the fuel consumption of these things? That's obviously an important question. You got to carry diesel with you out on trails. You need a rotopack or something. Unless you're just going for a short stint, you could probably get away with just filling it up once. They actually sip diesel quite well. This particular unit, running for 9 to 10 hours, so far is taking me only about ½ a gallon of diesel. So if I'm out for 4 or 5 days, I'm gonna need 2 gallons of diesel to power this thing. Some, I've been told, sip even less diesel, but for the most part, they're extremely cost effective and you're not gonna be blowing through diesel like I thought it was in the beginning. Adding this addition to our fall and winter camping has definitely changed the whole scheme of things. We now carry thinner blankets. I'm in my underwear when I sleep. If for some reason this thing does break or does fail, we do have some backup blankets that we have in case we need to stay warm. But so far, fingers crossed, this thing's been pretty trouble-free. Once you get past the quirky little things with the display or trying to understand the manual, you're gonna be fine. Take 5-10 minutes before you get out onto a trail, turn the thing on, learn how it works, and you're gonna be set. These things are super easy. All they need is power, hit the on button, set your desired heat, and you're done with these things. They really are extremely easy to use and very cost effective for keeping you warm out there. So, what is the truth about these Chinese diesel heaters? Well, they just plain work. There may be a couple lemons, read the reviews, but take those with a grain of salt. Maybe do some more YouTube research on a particular model if you're interested in something. But just remember that because we're dealing with Chinese manufacturing, not all of them are gonna be great. But once you get a good one, you tend to be pretty problem-free with them for the most part. Do I wish there was an American option? You bet there is, but not for 6 times the money with the same warranty. Make sure you decide how you're gonna exhaust your fumes. Do you wanna come out the side? Do you wanna come out the bottom? Remember to get yourself a long enough tube to reach up to the rooftop. Try not to get too hung up on 8 kilowatts or 5 kilowatts and vice versa. Find what suits your power needs and you're gonna be fine because we're in such a tight enclosed space. And the final thing is, it gives you no excuse anymore to not get out there on trails because it's too cold. Our most favorite time to get out on trails is fall and winter. Why? Because nobody's out there. There's not a lot of craziness happening. You have the whole place to yourself and you literally, no pun intended, get to chill. Anyways, I hope this helped you guys out. Thank you so much for watching this. If you have any questions or comments, please hit me up down below. I'll do my best to answer it for you. And sincerely, guys, thank you for watching these videos. We've had a lot of subscribers this year, and we really do appreciate the support. Until next time, we hope to see you out there on the trails. Bye.